Welcome to Focus on the Five, conversations with Baldwin County business leaders and entrepreneurs, brought to you by Josh Noell of Gulf Coast Financial Advisors. And now, Josh Noell.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program, Josh Noell.
There he is.
Thank you.
Very handsome individual.
Thank you. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Focus on the Five, conversations with Baldwin County, Alabama area entrepreneurs and business leaders. I'm your host, Josh Noell of Gulf Coast Financial Advisors. We're coming to you today from the studios of WABF 1480, located here in beautiful downtown Fairhope, Alabama. Well, my two guests today really need no introduction, but I'm going to introduce them anyway. They are business partners. They are friends. I would say even maybe brothers to a certain degree.
Yes.
Correct.
Yep. And if you've had a drink or a cocktail in and around Fairhope and many places in Mobile, then you really know who they are. So if y'all would please welcome to the show the owners of Bone and Barrel and the Little Whiskey Christmas Club, Mr. Bobby Kilpatrick and Noel Broughton. How are you doing?
All right. We're good.
Very good. Thank you for having us.
All right. Well, guys, we have, as you all had a chance to discuss before the show, we do have a lot of listeners and viewers that are not necessarily from the area. So around here in Fairhope, everybody's going to know who you are and know your all's establishments. But I'd like to dive in. Let's start with Bone and Barrel. What's the Bone and Barrel?
It is just your classic form bar and grill. Good food, good drink, good staff, old beat up building,
Right.
everything you need.
Well, 2 stories.
What's that?
2 stories.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have an upstairs for private events, but we also, people dine upstairs. We have a balcony that overlooks parades.
Got a deck out back with a stage. We have live music Thursday through Saturday. A bar outside.
Right.
Three full bars.
It is. It's the
Yeah.
place to be.
And when it's nice outside, there's really nothing
better.
Nothing better than being out back there
Yeah.
with that band. All right, how about the newer establishment, at least to y'all, Little Whiskey Christmas Club?
Well, the Little Whiskey Christmas Club is located at 14 North Church Street, Fairhope.
Which is kind of crazy because when we first started working together in this industry, you had 14 South.
Which was right down the street. Was my first restaurant.
Is 14 your lucky number?
Apparently it is.
Yeah.
It is now. Well,
He looks like a 14-year-old.
Well, we don't want to talk about when he was 14. We'll keep that off the radio.
We started drinking at 14. That was a rough Wednesday.
Well, the Little Whiskey Christmas Club is we do food. It is more of a bar than it is a restaurant, but we do have a menu that we serve food on Thursday, Fridays, and Saturday nights. But it is, as you can tell by the name, Christmas themed, and we refer to it as Disney Christmas in there.
Well, where'd the name come from? That's what I've always wanted to know.
Well, you want me to tell that?
No, I'm better at it. So, okay.
So he thinks.
Yeah. So years ago, before I owned anything, I always liked the name Little Whiskey, for whatever reason, and that was always a dream of mine, to open up a bar and grill called Little Whiskey. And so when we opened up the Bone and Barrel, I wanted to call it Little Whiskey, but we thought families wouldn't bring their kids into a place that had the word whiskey in the name. So anyway, but I always loved the name. In fact, I called my attorney and I bought the name Little Whiskey just to make it more of a reality. I don't think I still own it because you have to pay it every year, Anyway, but just to make it more real, that's what I did. Anyway, Noel has wanted to open a Christmas bar for years, and he would bring it up every now and then. And I'm kind of an idea guy myself, kind of creative in that way. And so we were at Bone and Barrel, and as guys will do, we were looking at the building, and we saw businesses open and close there 3 or 4 times.
Right.
And it's a hard business. I'm not talking down on anyone, but
Right.
it's tough. So and then one night he said, we ought to do the Christmas bar there. And then about a month later, I texted him LWCC.
All right.
And he texted me back with a question mark, and I said Little Whiskey Christmas Club.
Love it.
And he said, "That's it." And then like a year later,
Place came available.
yep,
Y'all jumped in there and
we got it, and we.
I believe we reached out to the landlord first and kind of put our name in the hat.
Yeah.
Sorry. We put our name in the hat just so we wouldn't miss that opportunity. But as far as the Christmas part of it, I was in Nashville, 4 or 5 years ago, and I met a friend of mine at a bar called Santa's Pub.
Okay.
And it's right outside of Nashville. And
These are just beer and wine.
It was beer and wine, but it was also like 2 double-wide trailers put together with a deck built around it, and it was but the owner dressed up like Santa Claus and hosted karaoke and had nothing but these kind of arrogantly shabby Christmas decorations all around it, and I mean it blew my mind.
I love that. Arrogantly shabby.
Arrogantly shabby.
I am stealing that one.
And I ended up meeting the owner, and I couldn't. I was just intrigued by it, and I said, man, one of the hardest parts about opening up a restaurant or a bar is, well, once you find the deal and the location, is to conceptualize it and to come up with the name and the theme. And I said, man, you just took Christmas and stole it.
Right.
I mean, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Well,
but he was, I promise you, he was intrigued by the fact that they're selling only beer and wine and they're packed.
Right.
So that was his thinking.
Well, I'll give you a very quick little story. Where I'm from, kind of backwoods, and I took my Kansas City Irish wife to their first time, and she walks up and she asked for a martini, Grey Goose martini, and he looked at her and he said, "Hun, we got beer in a can, we got Charles and James, and we got a little wine in the back. What you want?"
Yeah. Love that.
All right, so you all have some history, and I know y'all's history started at a name that really resonates around here. So what I want to do, I want to go jump back to how you all came together as friends and eventually business partners, and then I want to dive into later what it takes to kind of run a restaurant and sometimes turn a restaurant around, because you got experience with that. So where'd you all meet?
At a place called Judge Roy Bean, and if you're anywhere from here, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The Bean.
Judge Roy Bean was if you want me to, I give you the quick on that. Judge Roy Bean was almost like an outhouse with a bar in it.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that as bad. It was great. They had a goat and chickens, and I mean this was in the middle of Daphne, Alabama, and they had live music and had all kinds. They had a life-size chessboard out back, and they had bushwhacker bars out there. They did burgers and tacos, and it was something else. It's legendary around here.
Yeah, legendary. And back then, that place had been around for how many years?
Since
the
decades.
mid-70s. I think
Right.
76.
My parents played music there back in the 70s.
Yeah.
Back when it opened, it was probably fairly desolate to a certain degree along through there, right?
Man, what a cool place it was.
Yeah, well, when he opened it, he stayed busy. Jack West, he's no longer with us. Cancer sucks, but Jack, he was a legend in himself. But he's had, like, Jimmy Buffett's played there, like, right, on a whim. Willie Nelson. There's a story that Willie Nelson went there on he was in town and he went and knocked on the. Have you heard this?
No.
That he was in town and he went in to play, but they were closed and they wouldn't let him in, or something like that. Or he couldn't play because it was closed or something. You've heard that.
No, I don't think I have.
I love it.
I didn't make that up.
I believe it. So
But after saying it, it sounds kind of shabby.
were y'all arrogantly shabby?
Yeah, arrogantly shabby.
Were y'all bartenders there?
Yes, we both were. But when we met, he was bartending and I was bar backing.
I bartended all the way through college in Mobile, and to come over here when they asked me to come over here and bartend, it was almost like it was an honor.
Yeah.
To come over here and get to work at the Bean.
Oh, I bet.
It was great. So
I had long hair, and I wouldn't have been able to bartend. He was actually voted the bartender of the year that year for Mobile Bay Monthly.
Were
Best
you
bartender in Mobile? Yeah.
Oh, daggone.
I was good.
I remember saying something. We were sitting at the bar, and I was like, and I knew who he was, but I wasn't going to act like I knew who he was.
Right.
And he came there to see me anyway. So I was like, who's that? He goes, that's me. I go, so you want the best bartender? He's like, yeah. And he kind of looked at me like an ass. We've been buddies ever since.
Yeah, that's it.
Where in the process did y'all, was it pretty immediate for ideas? Hey man, we kind of click here. You think you want to maybe look at doing something someday, or how did that process evolve?
No, it was I opened up a restaurant here shortly after that in Fairhope called 14 South, and that was in December of either 96 or 97. Golly, that all runs together. I have no concept of time anymore.
Yeah.
But that was me and two other guys, Cortland Inge and John Sheldon, and we opened that restaurant, and Bobby came in to work with us. We kind of pulled all our friends in, and kind of gathered everybody up to help us do this restaurant, which turned out it was really successful and it was really good. And we brought some new things to Fairhope. We had some really, at the time, I don't think anybody had ever done live music in downtown Fairhope.
Like live music in a restaurant setting
with an amplifier.
It's kind of
it was something else.
Certainly back then it wasn't.
It was something else, but the flair. It was a gourmet restaurant. White tablecloth. Oh yeah. It was white tablecloth. But my slogan I used to say back then was gourmet goes casual. And that was really what we pushed. It was you come in there in shorts, and we weren't uppity, but the food was top notch. We were very proud of it.
Well, you're a little bit ahead of your curve then.
Yeah.
If you were already doing that.
Definitely.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then I ended up, but we like I was telling you before. So then when we were Bobby and I used to, we'd close up there nights and we'd walk over to this place that was the pub, which is now the Bone and Barrel building. And it's really, it's really crazy that we used to sit in that building and we had ideas then about that building. We said we need to get this building one day and we're going to open up a restaurant here, and then to jump 20 years into the future, we did.
I would have never, certainly back then. I never, the 14 South was my first cooking job. I never cooked before that.
Oh, there's a funny story there that we had all these chefs and guys that came in that in chef coats, and they were all vying for the job of chef or sous chef. And then when we, because when you first open up a restaurant, you're hiring all these people, and you're definitely overstaffed, and then you get to the point where you have to downsize.
Right.
And Bobby was better than all of them. He really was. And he never wore a chef coat.
Training.
I refused to wear a chef coat, and I wore Daisy Dukes.
That's why it was better.
That's
Did you
your
still have long
story.
hair?
Oh, I had long hair,
And
Daisy Dukes, and a belt that said Bobby K. Bitch on it. Because like when we're busy and stressed, I'd say, "Who's up in this?" and I turn around and let them see Bobby K. Bitch. Yeah.
So the 14 South success.
Right.
Y'all are starting to really kind of spread your wings a little bit, get a little older. What came next?
Well, then
He went back to Mobile.
Well, I bought a bar at that time called Monsoons downtown, and it was just a straight live music venue. And so I had that one. And then while I had Monsoons, I sold 14 South. I sold it to another gentleman who ran the restaurant for a while, but it just didn't pan out for him that well. But so I stayed in Mobile and had other businesses. I had Cafe 615. I had a restaurant called Noel B's, and then I had a bar called Studio 54, and I've had quite a few of them over there, and that I've opened and sold and whatnot. But Bobby had opened up my place, and we always stayed in touch, and we talked about a dream. We had a dream of opening up a place together, and where it would be and what we'd call it and all that stuff. And then when he had my place over here, I knew that there was y'all were having to move there was a lease disagreement.
Well, no,
they sold the building or something.
Yeah,
like
the
that.
owner of the building, and she was a real sweet lady, but she didn't want the late night bar there, and I understand that completely. And she was very nice and very gracious to us, like extending our stay to let us find a home or find something else. But me and Noel being best friends, we talk all the time on the phone. And he's given me a lot of advice throughout the years. But my staff, I had staff members that have kids. Where are they going to work? Hell, where am I going to work? Right. And so talking to Noel about it, we were like, well, let's do something. So we found.
Well, let me tell that story because I had another business that I still have it. I just don't use that much. It's a brokering consulting business called the JGO Group, and I had that place listed to sell when it was the Vintage Wine and Spirits, and the gentleman owned it. He wanted to get out of it.
That's right.
And so I had it listed on my website to try to sell it for him, and then there was just no bites to get it. And
it was
he mentioned one day, the guy even said, he goes, "Why don't y'all just take this place and open up a bar?"
Right.
And man, it was like, oh, yeah, I think he got us.
Yeah.
I think he just got us.
Because I needed a place to go, and he just asked him that. And so I remember the phone call because you were like, well, what do you think? And I said, well, I know I can make it successful. Right. And he's like, all right, well, then let's do it. It was that was a big deal. But you're talking about, not de-plow, just plow.
Just plow.
Right.
Yeah, it's
which is in a strip mall right next to the Piggly Wiggly, which is still open, and it's a great spot.
Absolutely.
A guy named Chris Capps owned it now, great guy. I think they're doing well.
Yeah.
Well, before we go to mid-break, I got a question for y'all. What, from your 20, almost 30 years experience now, what do you think goes into making a restaurant successful, either from the ground up or having to come in and redo or revitalize one? What have y'all learned from that?
Just honesty and hard work. Yep. I mean, it's as basic and plain as it can possibly be, but it's relationships, just smiles on your face and a firm handshake.
Well, I would say, I agree with that too. But when you were talking about how, my mindset being numbers and business, I immediately, I'm going to look at, whatever the lease deal is, how much, whether or not it, that the money can be made to cover your fixed costs, because I think a lot of people get very, very anxious to get into a spot, and and they do that, which I refer to as signing a deal with the devil. They really they want it so bad that they haven't thought the business aspects of it through, and then therefore just get themselves over their head. I always look, especially if you're taking over one that was already there. It's like you're gonna have to weigh out what happened. Did they run it in the ground themselves, or was it just not enough business to cover what they're asking?
And it's real fun to like come up with ideas. A lot of people will open a restaurant because it was always their dream to, and they have got some good recipes. And
it's romantic.
Yeah, and then
it's romantic to own a restaurant.
Yeah, without a doubt. And then that's why so many of them fail, because we've been doing this for 30 years now, and him even longer, and it's still difficult. It's still
it's not just straight line up.
No. Very difficult.
Even where you all at, you still have days where you get knocked back to step.
Man.
Don't even bring up the building of Little Whiskey. I mean, there were weeks where we didn't even look at each other. Like we didn't even want to.
Well, we're going to dive into that after our mid break here. All right, so we'll take a quick break for station identification. For those of you just joining us on WABF 1480 AM, this is Focus on the Five, conversations with Baldwin County, Alabama entrepreneurs and business leaders. I'm your host, Josh Noell, and I am joined today by Bobby Kilpatrick and Noel Broughton. Am I saying that right?
Broughton,
pardon. The owners of Bone and Barrel and Little Whiskey Christmas Club. All right, so here's what I want to dive into next. You all have roles in your business arrangement. And I know I've been an entrepreneur for 20 plus years, and I've had various partners. My wife is considered a partner in my business in certain aspects. And sometimes there's a strain on that.
Yeah.
So there's two parts to that question. One, what role do y'all serve in this partnership? What strengths, weaknesses do y'all complement each other on?
Well,
the basic answer always that I tell people when they, he's the numbers guy. He's the businessman. He's very driven and very brilliant with balancing the checkbook and making sure.
Brilliant. Y'all heard that here.
Yeah. And
I'm gonna get a copy of this.
And thank God for it. I mean, like, there's no way that's just not my thing.
Right.
When we first opened Plow, the first bar we owned together, I balanced the checkbook one time, and then he would still come in and do it. It's just part of his DNA. He has to do it. It's got to be just right, and that makes my life a lot easier.
Allows you
but
to
it's
focus on
harder in
things you
other
do
ways
well.
because of stress. But like, part of my job is making sure he's good. Even I just said that.
I think from the financial side of it, I mean, I have to know where we stand. I have to know what's going on. I have to, and I tell you, I mean, like I'm very OCD, and I get upset when there's things that happen that I don't know about. So I think we have manager meetings over here every Tuesday with both businesses, and we can't emphasize enough to our staff. It's like you have to. I mean, we let you take the leash out a little bit, but y'all have to keep us in the loop with everything because no surprises. I do not like surprises.
Well,
so it's with that's just really how we pull the reins on the place.
Well,
We oversee everything. I mean,
correct me if I'm wrong, but the restaurant business and the bar business, I know enough about it. I mean, it's a battle of inches.
Yeah, it is.
It
is.
Wow.
It is.
Without a doubt.
We have, and especially in this industry, there's a whole lot of turnover employee-wise. Right. Even though we do have some, I've kind of prided myself for a long time. A lot of the folks that I've had, especially in managerial positions, have stayed with me for a long time.
Yeah.
And I have that philosophy of you're taking care of people, they take care of you. But on the same page, I know that nobody wants to stay. Nobody wants to stay in this business forever. Unless you're just a glutton for punishment.
Yeah, but we have a few employees that have been with us forever, and they will always be with us.
Well, so we're filming this video, recording the show here in downtown Fairhope. I'm looking out the window at your all's place, the Little Whiskey Little Whiskey Christmas Club. Excuse me. What's that been like? Tell me the story behind that. Bringing that up to speed and everything, because like you said, there have been 3 or 4 places come through. Even in my time period, been a couple come through.
Well, I think that what those other places were lacking was the
face.
Yeah, the
personality.
Yeah, personality for sure.
The lack of passion, I guess, for lack of a better term.
We really loved the idea of we wanted to do it. We talked about doing the Christmas bar in Mobile. At another building that I had at the time, and we just didn't think that Mobile was the right spot, and we couldn't have been more right about that. I mean, Fairhope was perfect for it. And with this building coming open right behind the Bone and Barrel, which we had the mindset of we want to keep everybody
on this side
Let's
of town.
keep them on our side of town. Not that we're being selfish. There's enough to go around.
That's right. Business.
But you know, we like the idea of people leaving Bone and Barrel and going to the Little Whiskey, and you know, two different concepts with the live music and the karaoke, but you know, having food at both places. So
see, in our line of work, you're either a bar with food or you're a restaurant with alcohol.
Okay.
You know, and so like with the Bone and Barrel, as much as I wanted it to be a bar, it's not up to me. It's up to the public, and the public made it more of a restaurant with alcohol,
Right.
which is fine. It's great. It does well. So we wanted a bar.
Well, because you'll often see families in there eating.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. And the Little Whiskey is 21 and up. It's it's a bar that has great food. You know.
Talk about the decor.
That's where I was going. Because I mean, here, I'm going to tell you this. Here's what I know, because I used to build houses for a living.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to make things look comfortable and not necessarily lived in, but I mean, really trying to establish something where it looks like it's been there a long time, but it's been maintained over all that time period, as versus just shiny brand new or just throwing some crap on a wall like you would at a Fridays.
Yeah, well, we said that from the beginning. If we'd went to a store and bought a bunch of brand new Christmas stuff, it wouldn't have worked.
Right.
Certainly not in the city of Fairhope. You know, that it would have been fake.
Authenticity.
Yeah. So a lot of yard sales. And Lord knows, me and him have gotten in fights about me going to Goodwill. Like,
he spends $50 a day at the Goodwill.
no, I didn't.
Easy.
I mean, sorry.
We'll have to delete that one.
All right.
20,
Well,
yep.
I'll say this.
Sorry about that. That
Yeah.
wasn't me, by the way. But you know, like Bobby, I've been calling him Martha Stewart for about 10 years because
Martha K.
Martha K. Because I mean, you know, he like the decor at the Bone has been a work in progress, and you know, he finds these things at yard sales and the Goodwill and wherever it may be. But you know, it's every time I come in, there's something else. You know, and I think it's probably finished by now. I mean, because there's not another space on the wall.
Well, we're about halfway done with the Bone.
But you know, and then as far as the Little Whiskey, you know, the tiny Christmas town on the outside. His father-in-law gave that to
my
him.
father-in-law, he was real sick. He passed away years ago, and but towards the end of his life, he couldn't really do much. Couldn't work. You know, so one thing he did do was his Christmas village. And he was an alcoholic, you know, and the years of drinking caught up with him. You know, solid guy, great. I love him dearly. Very funny, a lot like me, you know. And if you met my wife, the first thing you would think is, how did Bobby do this? My wife is my wife is the most amazing person I've ever met. And at the time, at the time, I had long hair and I was heavier.
Daisy Dukes.
And whiskey and Daisy Dukes and madness, right? But whatever. So I know if she didn't grow up in that household, she would have never picked me.
Right.
So as a kind of for him, after he passed away, her mom gave me his Christmas village. So the Christmas village is up at Little Whiskey. Because without him being wild when she was growing up,
right,
she would not have tolerated
man,
this 250-pound long-haired whiskey drinking guy that likes to fight. You know.
You guys are going to get to know me a little better, and you'll see my wife, and you'll think the same thing you just said. I thought the same thing.
Yeah. Well,
and then I show up at her house, and her dad's a short, Irish, charismatic dude.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, this all makes sense now.
all meant to be.
Yes.
What's real crazy
I'm
is
gonna fit in great.
is that her father and two brothers had the same birthdays as my mom and two sisters.
Wow.
Serendipity, my friend.
Crazy.
Serendipity.
Well, you know, to move on with the decor, the tiny Christmas village is all around the top, and now he's expanded it. But you know, I mean, at one point we had people dropping off Christmas decorations, did we not?
Yeah.
People were just, you know, they had old stuff.
I think that goes back to something you said in the beginning of the show. You know, a lot of times when someone thinks, I'm going to ask, what's the most important thing about a restaurant, the first answer is going to be out of your mouth is you got to have the best food. But you said relationships first.
Yeah.
I mean,
definitely.
Yeah.
Because the reason, like the Bone and Barrel specifically, is like it's very the decor is very Americana, old, rustic, but there's advertisements and there's all kinds of things that I reflect with the food. Because to me, it's all the same. What you see and hear is the same as what you taste.
Right.
Now, I don't know. He's coming around, but but that's so. Like, if you're eating a burger and you look up and you see something that you can relate to, that burger's going to taste better, and that's what I believe.
Well, I think you can tell when something has been put into a place, a restaurant, a house, or anything, have hands actually touched that thing or not? And I think in there you can tell this thing's been touched. It's been cared for
daily.
Right. Yeah, it was put there with some intentionality.
Yeah, you can walk into the Bone and Barrel and look at anything on the walls or anywhere, and I will tell you why it's there.
Perfect.
Cassette chair railing.
Yeah. Which is cool.
Yeah, because there were a bunch of
I remember when he did that.
Yeah, that I loved, and I just could not throw them away. So what do you do?
Show a 15-year-old younger a Walkman and watch them puzzle.
Yeah, exactly. And I had a Walkman, and it just wasn't practical, So I had to do something with these cassette tapes. I just got rid of my VCR.
No, we have listeners obviously in Mobile. Go ahead. You have a couple places over there too.
I do. I've got the Brickyard, which is a live music venue on Dolphin Street, and I have Lucky Irish Pub. I've got a location on Airport Boulevard. It's in the old Patio Tools. Everybody that listened would know exactly where that is. And I have another location up in Saraland, right off Exit 13. It's been doing well. That's such a booming little area up there. And I've got another little bar out across from South Alabama called the West End Watering Hole. Just a little college bar out there. And yeah.
You busy
I
man.
think that's it. We've got a couple more concepts that we're working on in Mobile. So y'all be looking for some new stuff.
Well, I've got one last question for you, and then we're going to get into your contacts and the events you got coming up. This is just more of my own curiosity scratched on this radio show. But 25-year-old you walks up to you and says, "Hey, Noel, hey Bobby, tell me, give me some advice about business, about life." What would you say?
Well, somebody, it's funny you say that because somebody asked me yesterday if I would have thought, when I opened up my first restaurant that, in 25 whatever years that I'd have multiple restaurants and multiple locations and but not just that, just different concepts and themes and whatnot. And the answer to that, it kind of took me back, but the answer to it is of course not. When you're at that age, you're not really looking. I was trying to figure out how to pay the bills the next day. So I think that you always got to make sure that the deal is right. You've got to make sure that you can create enough revenue to pay the bills. I think like I said earlier, is you definitely have to analyze the contracts and things like that, which I know just sounds to tell it myself at 25 years old would sound foolish, and I wouldn't know what I'm doing, but it's so right, man. You've got to make sure that the business is there before you jump in with both feet.
But like when he was 25, he knew he was going to own bars and restaurants. Like I can't say that. I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
I knew it's what I wanted to do.
Yeah, but you were just as driven then.
Well, thank you much.
It was. But if you'd asked me, would me and Noel be partners, down the road?
Right.
No way in hell. I mean, like we lived together at different times. We fight. My wife calls us two 7th grade schoolgirls because and so to think we'd be in business and be successful,
right?
And there's no way.
Well, there was a we were pretty wild back then. So
Very.
and there was I really enjoyed being in the restaurant bar business because I really loved the action of it, and I love the functionality of restaurants and bars, and like I said, I bartended, and I loved being in it, and I was very hands on, and still am. I've always said, I still say it every now and then. I'm like, if the whole thing craps out, I can just go back to bartending again.
Yeah. I'll get in the kitchen. He'll get behind the bar.
That's
and
it.
we'll just
That's it.
That's right.
And actually, I bartended up till for a long time until I finally just had to hang it up because I just got so drunk while I was behind the bar. Everybody coming in to see me, I ended up getting everybody. Oh, it was terrible.
I
had to
quit
get out of there.
drinking. Like throughout the years, I didn't know I was doing it at the time, but like I've got to be around people. I got to talk to people.
Yeah.
So I'd wait tables or bartend or whatever. Then I'd miss cooking. So then I'd get in the kitchen at different places, at different jobs or whatever. But it was always, I did not know that I was grooming myself to potentially one day owning my own restaurant or bar. But I'm very thankful.
Here you all are.
Yes.
Yeah, but here we are.
Well, how people find you?
Well, the Bone and Barrel is located at 311 Fairhope Avenue, Fairhope, Alabama, 36532. We are right at the corner of we're right there in the hub of downtown Fairhope, the corner of Church and Fairhope.
If you're from Fairhope, you know where Ken and Vernon is.
We
Next door.
You can find us on Facebook. And I told you this earlier, and I'm not the biggest social media person, but I know that somebody out there. We've got the Instagram and the is it the Instagram?
If
I
you-
always
if
call it
you
the
need-
Snapchat or whatever it is.
Look,
Oops.
if you needed $1, could you go open the register and get one?
Yeah, hell yeah,
You can. You do?
yeah.
Well,
It's
see,
POS.
we're not very computer savvy, and that's why we have. My last computer was a Sega.
Well, I could. But, the phone number to the Bone and Barrel is area code 251-990-0782.
All right.
And the Little Whiskey is located at 14 North Church Street, downtown Fairhope, Alabama. And the number for the Little Whiskey is 251-270-7194.
Perfect. What events y'all got coming up, or what events do you normally have?
It being
Santa Claus and Miss Claus flying from the North Pole
every
3 nights-
Thursday
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights to host karaoke.
at the Little Whiskey,
I don't think they'll be late because this weather is kind of they're
right up their alley.
right up their alley. They'll be fine.
Every Thursday, Friday, Saturday night at the Bone and Barrel, we have live music, and we have happy hour in both places.
Every Tuesday we have open mic night or Blue Bicycle playing. They rotate. Blue Bicycle's a local band with some really great people. They always draw a crowd
Family.
and their family. Yeah.
As far as events coming, this being the 21st of January, Mardi Gras is right around the corner.
There's always something going on in Fairhope.
And then right after Mardi Gras, we've got arts and crafts. So now's a good time to be in Fairhope because it's
popping.
great. It's popping.
Yeah, I heard
it's
they,
popping.
they
So
put
come
out
on.
they were going to film a movie a couple days ago. They said they're doing a movie here.
They filmed a movie.
Another one,
in
that's what they
the
said.
Bone and Barrel with.
Right, that's what I was mentioning.
it?
Bobby and I have a movie called The Limo Ride. Have you seen it?
No,
Well,
You've never seen Limo Riding?
I feel like I'm getting hooked into a joke though.
No, it's not a joke.
I've got the movie poster on the wall at the Bone
Yes.
and
Called the Limo Ride.
I'll get you a copy.
All right, please do.
Barrel. This will open a window to our past that you might want to shut immediately,
Easy.
or might.
No, Carson and Marcus made a great movie, and it's a true story about a bunch of us that own bars and restaurants that every year we go to the Polar Bear Dip on January 1st at the Floribama.
Yep.
And so this was I believe in either 99 or 2000, but we all worked all night long and then tried to find us a limo to take us to the Floribama, and we ended up getting a limo out of the phone book, and they tried to rob us and hijack us and
Crackhead.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
I was naked.
True story.
All kinds of stuff going on.
Well, on that note,
It wasn't pretty.
Do we need to make it an hour show?
on that note, y'all got anything else? I'm gonna wrap her up.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much.
It's very cool, and good luck with. If you ever need us to come back over here and talk, you can tell that we like to do it.
Oh, we're gonna do this again for sure.
Yeah, man. Because there's so much that we didn't say.
Oh yeah,
There's a whole string to unravel there.
Part two.
We'll do a part 2.
excellent.
100%.
Thank you so much for having us.
I think y'all did fantastic. So if you're a regular listener to the show, then you know that we also film our conversation, release it on YouTube, Facebook, and on my website, gulfcoastfa.com. So if you're watching this video and would like to reach out to any of us, just send us a message. We'll get back to you. Remember, support local because local supports you. Lastly, if you're a Baldwin County area entrepreneur or business person, you'd like to have a conversation like this one, reach out to me. You'll find my contact info at the end of the show. In closing, I want to thank my guests, Bobby and Noel, for joining me today. Y'all, honestly, fantastic job. That was
Thank you very
a
much,
lot of
man.
fun.
We had a
Rollicking
blast.
comes to mind. I'm Josh Noel, Gulf Coast Financial Advisors, and this has been Focus on the 5. Thank you all and have a great day.
All right.
Yay.
Thank y'all.
Bam!
Thank you for listening to Focus on the 5. If you are interested in learning more about Josh Knoll and Gulf Coast Financial Advisors, you can find us at gulfcoastfa.com, call 251-327-2124, email josh.knoll@gulfcoastfa.com, or message us on Facebook.
Advisory services offered through Prime Capital Investment Advisors, LLC, PCIA, a federally registered investment advisor. PCIA, doing business as Prime Capital Wealth Management, and qualified plan advisors. PCIA and Gulf Coast Financial Advisors are not affiliated. All information presented is for educational purposes only and is not an offer or solicitation for the sale or purchase of any securities.